This is a story from when I was a high school student. Toward the end of the first semester, a boy who was one of my classmates and a good friend of mine got a car license. So we decided to go for a drive together during the summer vacation. The participants were the usual members: the boy, myself, 2 boys, and 1 girl, a total of 5 people. We decided to go to a haunted place that had been rumored for a long time and that we had talked about wanting to visit. It was an abandoned house deep in the mountains, and there was a rumor that the ghosts of a family that had a heart attack about 10 years ago appeared there, and although I do not know who said it, the appearance rate is 99.99. The car navigation system did not search well, so we turned off the national highway onto a mountain road, relying on vague information we found on the internet. After a while, the road gradually became narrower, and everyone became a little nervous. To begin with, the driver was a beginner who had just obtained his driver's license. So, we parked the car at a shelter along the mountain road and reluctantly got out of the car and walked to our destination. However, it seemed that even the road was wrong, and no matter how much we walked, we could not reach the desired abandoned house. On a hot and humid summer night, the trail became narrower and steeper, and the boys began to whine that they could not walk any further on the mountain path. So we had no choice but to turn around and go back. On the way down the mountain path, one of the members of the group spotted a house tucked away at the bottom of a cliff on the right side of the road. The house, which we had not noticed on the way there, was barely visible because the light we were carrying happened to hit the roof, but the lights were off. It was quiet, and there was no sign of anyone. We were excited to think that we might have developed a new haunted spot and decided to go to the house immediately. We could not slide down the cliff, so we continued down the mountain road for a while, looking for a path that would lead us to the house. We noticed the entrance to a road covered with grass and trees just across from the shelter where we had parked our car. After about 20 minutes of walking, with the boys in the lead, clearing away the overgrown vegetation and cobwebs with branches we had picked up, the house stood in darkness and silence, giving off an indescribably eerie aura. There did not appear to be any other road, so perhaps this road we had just come down was the road that the occupants of the house lived on. The fact that the house was so overgrown with vegetation and full of cobwebs means that no one has been near the house for quite some time. Even so, we would be in a terrible situation if someone were to report the house to the police for trespassing. So, from a little distance away, the boys said, "Excuse me, anybody home?" Several times. We were unsure whether to pretend to have taken a wrong turn or to all run away at once, if there was even the slightest reaction, but still there was no reaction from inside the house at all. We all made a circle around the building in a tangled mess, stood in front of the sliding door that we thought was the main entrance, and just to be sure, we said one more time, "Excuse me." When I called out to them and was sure that no one was there, one of the boys slowly opened the sliding door of the front door about 20 centimeters, so as not to make a sound. Then, at the back of the house, which should have been pitch dark, there was a faintly bright spotlight shining down from above, and I saw what looked like dust or smoke swirling and rising there. All of us were more intrigued than terrified. "What is that?" As we stared at the smoke, it began to clump up and down, and finally took on the shape of a human being. "Ooh! Ooh! Ooh!" I don't remember where we ran off to, who was in the lead, or any of that. Before I knew it, we made it to a parked car, and we all rolled into the car. Does the phrase foolhardiness on fire apply to novice drivers? The driver, a boy who had been driving fearfully when he came to us, was going down the mountain road about 100 meters to where he could make a U-turn when he ran away. at a high speed and still in reverse. After that, none of us spoke until we pulled onto the national highway and into the parking lot of a convenience store. But as soon as we pulled in, we all felt relieved, and, as if by a dam, began to talk at once about our fears at that moment. I saw an old lady in a whitish kimono. However, each of the other members of the group said it was a girl of elementary school age. It was an old man with a beard. It was a woman in a fancy dress. It was a man in a suit who looked like a businessman. For some reason, none of them matched the appearance of the other members, but the only thing they all had in common was that they were angry with each other, as if they were chasing them away with their hands, telling them to go away. But at that time, I was the only one who felt strangely uncomfortable. Everyone else was saying he was angry and chased me away with his hand, but to me it looked like he was beckoning me to come this way. Certainly, it is similar as a gesture to put the back of your hand on top of your hand to drive away someone and say, "Go away," or to beckon someone to come this way. But the difference between the two would normally be absolutely obvious. But I knew that if I said it, people would freak out again, so I kept the matter to myself. With each of us in a strange state of tension, it was getting very late, and we decided it was time to go home. After leaving the convenience store, we drove for a few minutes and were approaching an intersection when a large truck driving diagonally in front of us suddenly broadsided us, and we were involved in an accident so severe that our car was scrapped. The other members of the group suffered only minor injuries or were hospitalized for a week or so, but only I, who was thrown out of the car by the impact of the accident, was unconscious and in critical condition for 10 days, and at one point I was so badly injured that I wandered between life and death. While I was in the intensive care unit, I was climbing that mountain road alone in my dreams saying, "I have to go see that old lady." Then, I regained consciousness after having a dream that everyone I was with was beckoning me hard from down the road to come back this way, and I had no choice but to go down the mountain road. I later found out that the driver of the truck that had pulled over broadside me was being interviewed by the police. I saw an old lady in a white kimono beckoning me to come this way in the intersection, so I swerved in a hurry. I saw an old lady in a white kimono beckoning me to come this way, so I panicked and swerved. He said, "Everyone, please keep in mind that you should never go to haunted places during summer vacation.